grandmother left me her necklace in her will. My aunt sued me for it. She said grandma was senile and didn't know what she was doing. The necklace had been in our family for 4 generations. Every woman who wore it passed it to someone specific. Never the eldest daughter, never the obvious choice. My grandmother wore it for 60 years. When she died, she left it to me. Not my mother, not my aunt, me. I was 23 and barely knew why I mattered enough to inherit it. The funeral was small. The reading of the will was smaller. When the lawyer said my name, my Aunt Blair stood up so fast her chair fell over. That's wrong. She promised it to me. I didn't know what to say. The lawyer showed her the document. Her name wasn't on it. Mine was. She looked at me like I'd stolen something from her. This isn't over, she said, and walked out. 3 weeks later, I was served with papers. She was contesting the will. Her lawyer claimed my grandmother had dementia, that I manipulated a dying woman, that the necklace rightfully belonged to her. I'd never manipulated anyone in my life, but now I had to prove it in court. Blair wanted war, so war is what she got. She told relatives I had brainwashed my grandmother, that I visited her only to get in the will, that I was a manipulative little girl who preyed on a dying woman. None of it was true, but people believed her anyway. The court case moved slowly. Her lawyer demanded depositions, medical records, testimony from nurses who barely remembered my grandmother. Every hearing cost me money I didn't have. I almost gave up, almost handed over the necklace just to make it stop. Then my mother said something that changed everything. Blair has wanted that necklace since she was a little girl. Mom always told her no, never explained why. It drove Blair crazy. I looked at the necklace differently after that. Why would my grandmother refuse her own daughter for 60 years? What made this piece of costume jewelry worth fighting over? I took it to an antique dealer. He wasn't impressed, said it was worth a couple hundred at most, but he noticed something I hadn't. A hairline seam around the edge of the locket. This has a hidden compartment, he said. Old trick. Victorians used to hide locks of hair in them, or secrets. He opened it with a thin blade. Behind the normal photo slot was another space, smaller, secret. Inside was a folded piece of paper and a photograph no bigger than a stamp. A baby, no one I knew, and a letter in my grandmother's handwriting. I unfolded the letter carefully. The paper was so old it felt like it might dissolve in my hands. My grandmother's handwriting, shaky but clear. To whoever finds this, I need to tell the truth about my daughter Blair. My heart pounded. I kept reading. Blair is not my biological child. My first daughter Clara died 3 days after she was born. The grief nearly killed me. 6 months later, I adopted Blair from a home for girls in trouble. I raised her as my own. I loved her as my own, but the necklace carries our bloodline. 4 generations of blood. I cannot break that chain. Blair must never inherit it, and she must never know why. I put the letter down. My whole understanding of my family shifted. Blair wasn't my grandmother's biological daughter. She was adopted, and the necklace was passed over her not out of cruelty, but out of tradition. Bloodline. A secret my grandmother kept for 6 decades. But Blair already knew. She had to. Why else would she fight this hard? Why else would she spend thousands of dollars on a worthless necklace? She wasn't trying to claim an inheritance. She was trying to destroy evidence. I drove to her house that night. Didn't call first. She opened the door and saw the letter in my hand. All the fight drained out of her face. How long have you known? I asked. She leaned against the door frame. Suddenly old, suddenly tired. Since I was 19, I found papers in Mom's dresser. I never told anyone. I've spent my whole life pretending I didn't know. She looked at the letter like it was a bomb. That necklace is proof. Proof that I don't belong. That I was never really her daughter. I didn't say anything for a long moment. Then I folded the letter and put it back in the locket. Grandma raised you, loved you, chose you. That's not less than blood. That's more. Blair started crying. 40 years of secrets pouring out in her driveway. Blair called her lawyer that night. Dropped everything. The necklace stays with me, but the secret stays between us.